common motherfucking sense in this bitch, aka the soul of Andromeda, the night of Venus. And first of all, happy birthday to all the Libras out there. Shout out to all the Libras, the Sun Libras, the Moon Libras, the Venus Libras, Ascendant Libras, whatever. Shout out to all the Libras because we in Libra season right now. So if it's your birthday, happy birthday to you. And if it's your not, it's still your season. So shout out to you. Now, I already said everything that's coming with, all the energies that's coming with this particular Libra season. And I did that in the last video. But one thing I didn't mention is that during this Libra season, it's also one of the final eclipse seasons of this year. Now, eclipse season is basically when the solar and the lunar eclipse are present in our working energies. So, for example, this weekend, we have a solar eclipse coming up. That's going to be one of the major focuses that everyone is paying attention to. The week after that, or not even the week after that, 3 weeks after that is going to be the lunar eclipse. And again, there's going to be a major focus, a major shift in energies being as though that these energies are all predicated on Venusian energy. Now, what do I mean by that? The solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse are both happening in signs that's ruled by Venus. The solar eclipse that's happening this Saturday, October 14th, that's happening in Libra, ruled by Venus. The lunar eclipse that's going to be happening on October 28th, that's going to be happening in Taurus. Again, another Venus sign. So again, we see that these eclipses are going to be dealing with values, dealing with things that we care about, dealing with sometimes maybe even money, because it's all dealing with Venus. Venus represents values, money, the things that you care about, the things that make you feel confident within yourself. So, that being said, let's look into everything that this solar eclipse has in store for us. And then I'll do a separate video breaking down how this solar eclipse will affect you on a personal level, depending on where Libra is in your birth chart. As of right now, generally speaking, what we're all going to be going through, this eclipse, we're going to have the sun, the moon, and Mercury all in Libra. Now, that's not too abnormal. Of course, we're going to expect to have the sun and the moon in Libra. That's what makes the eclipse. But the reason it's even more interesting is because Mercury is there. Now, that's not necessarily always the case, but it's not necessarily rare neither. And the reason I say that is because Mercury is never too far away from the sun. So if the sun is in Libra, that means Mercury has to be in either Libra, the sign after Libra, which is Scorpio, or the sign before Libra, which is Virgo. So being as though that Mercury is in the same exact place as the sun and moon right now, this eclipse is a stellium. For those of you who don't know what a stellium is whenever you have 3 or more planets in a particular sign or house. Now, whenever you have an eclipse, you have automatically the sun and the moon there, a solar eclipse at least. But with this solar eclipse, like I said, it's a stellium thanks to Mercury being there. So with that being the case, this particular solar eclipse is going to be a little more impactful than the normal ones. This one's going to be a little more, I don't want to say it's going to put more on our plate because it depends on where you are in your life. It might take more off your plate. But in other words, the plate either way is going to have more attention this time versus any other time. Okay? Now, with the sun, the moon, and Mercury all being in Libra at this time, there's going to be a hyper focus on balance. There's going to be a hyper focus on harmony. And I kind of already mentioned that in the previous video, but where things get trickier now is the alignments that's going to happen to these planets. So, for example, with the sun and the moon being in Libra, and Mercury, of course, that's going to create a square with Capricorn. And here's why. Right now, we have Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is all about transformation. Pluto is all about sudden changes. It's all about things that's happening in the dark. So dark transformation, dark changes, things that happen suddenly and quickly in a way that you didn't expect it because it came right out of the dark. You know what I'm saying? Something that changed you in a way that you never would have expected it to. Squares is all about your learning process. Whenever you have a square alignment in your birth chart, whether it's a transit or in your natal, it's all about the things that you have to learn in this lifetime. It's all about the things that's, whether it's teaching you a lesson or the lessons that you have to teach others through your actions or through your words. But it's all about the realm of where we learn, you know, where we have to learn, where we have to teach. So with Pluto squaring the sun, the moon, and Mercury, we're going to have to learn from the deep transformations. We're going to have to learn from sudden changes that happen in our lives. You know, again, with that Pluto aspect, that dark transformation is going to cause something to transmutate and morph into something else right in front of us. But when this happens, a lot of times this can be scary. You know, a lot of times when people don't understand something, they fear that thing. And if something is in front of you and it starts to change forms, you might start to misunderstand what it is you're looking at. And because you misunderstand that form now, you might start to get scared. You understand? So with these scary transformations, we're going to have to learn from that. We're going to have to learn to deal with those scary transformations. We're going to have to learn to go through with them. We're going to have to learn it might even be something where we have to learn to be the one to start that scary transformation. You know, a lot of times people are running away from doing the thing that they know that they need to do because it's taking them out of their comfort zone. AKA, a lot of times people are scared of doing that transformation. So with the sun squaring Pluto right now, you might be someone who needs to learn to take that step forward and take yourself out of that comfort zone and, you know what I'm saying, create that transformation before that transformation gets created for you. If you know what I'm saying. Like, this is a time right now where you have the ability to get on top of the energy and create something new to get ahead of it before the external world forces you to create something new. You know what I'm saying? Now you're doing new things because you don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? This making sense? Yeah. So that's one thing to keep in mind for with Pluto squaring the sun, moon, and Mercury. And it's going to get even trickier because the signs that it's happening in. Pluto is in Capricorn. And of course, we all know that the eclipse is happening in Libra. So Capricorn is all about status. It's all about achievement, success, the top of the mountain. You know, this is all the things that Capricorn represents. The cap, the ice cap, the cap of the mountain. But here's the thing. In order to reach the top of that mountain, you got to go through a lot of shit, a lot of pain, a lot of turmoil, a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? And these are just the things that Capricorn represents. Libra, on the other hand, represents relationships, balance, harmony, connectivity, communications. So when we have the sun, the moon, and Mercury in Libra, our actions, our emotions, as well as our communications are all catered towards relationships, balancing and harmonizing people, basically. Now, when it squares Pluto in Capricorn, there's going to be a change in status. There's going to be a transformation in the way we feel about success. Shit, maybe we even had a run of success in a certain area, and we might start to lose that success, or we vice versa. We probably didn't have success, and we might start to gain success, but in some way, shape, or form, the sense of success is going to transform. And from that transformation, we're going to have to learn how to be more diplomatic in our approach. You know, like, we're going to have to be more catering to the other party, to the other person when it comes to our actions. We can't just go out and do whatever the fuck we want to do, however the fuck we want to do, whenever the fuck we want to do right now. We have to focus on
Empathy.
Empathy. That's a great word. We have to use more empathy right now. When we use empathy, that's going to give us more legway. That's going to give us more room in the areas of success, in the areas of status, in the areas of transforming the way the world looks at you, so you can have a greater sense of success and status, if that makes sense. So another thing too is that with the moon in Libra right now, our emotions are going to be catered towards feeling for the other person. Again, this is going back to the empathy aspect, but it doesn't just stop there. See, our comfort levels right now is going to come from our ability to understand the other party. Like, even if you feel wronged right now, even if you feel like someone betrayed you and stabbed you in the back right now, you won't gain a true sense of comfortability until you take yourself out of that and you see it from the other party's perspective. Even if they were wrong, you have to take yourself out of that and see it from their perspective. That's the only way you can even feel comfortable right now with the moon in Libra. But with that square happening to Pluto in Capricorn, this can create a sense of us having a better ability to deal with the success that we get. Us having a better ability to deal with the time it takes to get success. Because the way this alignment plays out is, you know, with that moon in Libra, you're going to automatically start to feel for the other party. You're going to automatically see where that person is coming from emotionally. And like I said before, you might feel as though they were wrong, though. Now, in terms of success, in terms of status and the way the world sees you, even if they are wrong, right? If you play this out in a diplomatic way, if you approach this in a way that's very balanced of both parties, all parties included, not just how you feel about it. If you go in this with the intentions of harmonizing, well, this can give you the ability to have that party that just wronged you, as well as all of their associations, all the people that's connected to that party, to now look at you as a more successful person, as a more high status person, if that makes sense. Like, it could be, for example, it could be something that's as simple as this. Someone might have lied to you, right? Maybe it's something happening at work. Maybe they lied and said they ate your lunch. Let's make a stupid example. They ate your lunch. They knew they fucking lied to your face, and you know what I'm saying? You gave them benefit of the doubt, and you knew they was lying to you though. But instead of going off and snapping on them, you say, okay, hey, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, speak my mind, tell them not to do it again, tell them that I know about it, whatever, boom, 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 this, that, and the third. I'm not going to go off on them. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying, cause a big scene. Hell, I might even buy them another lunch, you know what I'm saying, say fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to play the diplomatic role. And when you do that, that's going to have that person that just ate your food as well as everyone else in that job now talking about, oh yeah, I think he deserves a raise. Oh yeah, I think he deserves to be a manager. You see the way he deals with customers? Like, that's a weird example, but that's how it's going to play out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you play the diplomatic role right now, that's going to give you greater status. But it's only going to happen if you use that square, aka you have to learn what to do and what not to do. You have to play the diplomat. You understand? You have to, and this is the thing too about learning. Side note. This is the thing about learning is that there's no rule book to this life shit. You know what I'm saying? Even if we have astrology and all these cheat codes to get us through, there's no fucking rule. There's no tutorial. There's no easy mode for this life shit. So you have no choice but to fuck up. And the thing is that when you fuck up and when you make mistakes, that's what's going to give you the ability to improve. That's what's going to give you the ability to go forward. So I'm basically saying that to say, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And with that, that's all coming into this aspect of squares, the alignment of squares. In order to learn something, a lot of the times you have to make a mistake in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about how many times you failed something in school and then eventually you fucking got that shit. But you had to fucking fail in order to get that shit. That's just what it takes. So with learning processes, aka with squares in astrology, don't be afraid to make mistakes because that's actually where you're going to do the learning. So that being said, with this square happening towards, you know, our emotions and our actions, as well as our communications with Mercury, don't be afraid to make mistakes so long as your intentions are catered towards balancing. You understand? So if you're going to make this action right now, but you're afraid to make this action, as long as this action is centered towards balancing or harmonizing, then you're cool. Go ahead and just take the action. Don't worry about the mistakes. You know what I'm saying? If you're having an emotion right now and you're trying to connect to another person's emotions, or you're thinking about whether or not you want to express the emotion you have to see if other people could connect to your emotion. You know what I'm saying? Don't think about it too much. Don't think if this emotion is worthy of expression. Don't think about, oh, if I express this, I'm going to be seen as weird. It's going to be a mistake. Don't worry about that. Just express the fucking emotion. If you have something that's going on in your mind right now, you have a thought, you have an idea, if you have something you want to communicate, but you're afraid of it being misunderstood, don't be afraid to just fucking communicate. Allow that mistake to happen, because when you go through those actions, those emotions, and those communications, you are going to learn what worked and what didn't work. And once you learn what worked, now you have the abilities. You see what I'm saying? This is all catered towards that square. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything for the square. Now, in terms of what else is happening during this Libra eclipse, well, it's important to look at wherever Venus is during this lunar eclipse. Or not even the lunar eclipse, but the solar eclipse. But both of them. It's like I said at the start of the video, both of these eclipses are ruled by Venus. So that being said, it's going to be important to look at wherever Venus is to see where so much of this energy that I'm explaining is going to be focused. You get what I'm trying to say? So, with Venus being in Virgo right now, all of this balancing and harmonizing, all of this learning how to use people to get a better sense of status, all of this is going to be focused on areas of routines, work life, day-to-day life, mundane life, the things that you do every single day that you probably forget about. You know what I'm saying? It becomes muscle memory. It's your rituals, your practices. Shit, it could be your literal job. These are all the things that Virgo represents. So with Venus going there, it's like there's going to be a tug of war, basically, happening between our work life and our imagination. There's going to be a tug of war between our values, our personal values, and reality, society's values. And it's not just because Venus is in Virgo, but it's also because Saturn is in Pisces. For those of you who don't realize what that is, that's an opposition. Virgo and Pisces are directly opposite one another. They're sister signs. So with Venus being in Virgo and Saturn being in Pisces right now, there's an opposition between Venus and Saturn. In other words, there's an opposition between our values and reality. There's an opposition. That cat was just running funny and shit. There's an opposition between the things that we love and the real world. There's an opposition between our imagination and the things that we're doing in our head versus reality and the things that we're doing in our day-to-day practical life. There's a tug of war happening here. Push and pull. Yeah, a push and pull. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but it depends on how you use it. You see, oppositions are strong, pretty strong alignments. And, you know, a lot of astrologers will say oppositions are negative alignments. If you know one thing or two about astrology, you know that you can never just go off of just that. Everything is nuanced. So to say that oppositions are just bad in and of themselves is doing a disjustice. Okay? It really depends on the signs that's opposing each other, the planets that's opposing each other, the houses, as well as how it's affecting you on a personal level with your natal chart, because we all have different natal charts, so we're all getting affected in different ways. That being said, with a Venus opposition to Saturn, that sounds spooky. That sounds like, oh, our love is going to be challenged, or that sounds like, oh, our money is going to be challenged. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, an opposition between Saturn and Venus is probably one of the most profitable times, astrologically speaking. And here's why I say that. Now, of course, there's a whole bunch of other things that I could say that are profitable times. But in terms of Venus making any type of connection to Saturn, not just the opposition, Venus and Saturn have a very deep esoteric relationship. And this can be explained just in looking at the signs Libra and Capricorn. Libra, which is ruled by Venus, guess where Saturn goes to get exalted? See what I'm saying? Well, let's look at Capricorn, right? Capricorn being the 10th house, the house of career, the house of success. Think about how Capricorn is right before the last air sign, which is technically the air signs being ruled by Venus or ruled by Libra. And then also to take into account, Saturn is all about, again, putting time into something. And the thing that all humans value, whether they realize it or not, is time. Because that's one of your most, probably the most limited resource here is your time. So in one way, shape, or form, whenever we're talking about Saturn, we have no choice but to bring up Venus. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might have to do a whole separate video for that. Let me not go on a rant, because that's a whole, I'm going on a rant. Anyway, because there's a opposition between Saturn and Venus right now, this could be a very profitable time. And this could also be a very financially tumultuous time, depending on where you are and how things are aligning for you. Now, the reason for that, again, that oppositions are all about a push and pull, a tug of war. You know, there's a fight between energies. And Saturn being success and status, and Venus being values and love. Right now, you might be fighting between the things that you really love and the things that you have to do. Right now, you might be fighting between reality versus your dreams and imaginations, the things that you wish to make reality. Keyword, wish. You might be fighting right now whether or not you don't know whether or not you should go fully into this creative endeavor or go fully into this practical work routine shit. There could be a push and pull between matters of the heart, your love, you know what I'm saying, partnerships, versus your sense of stability, your sense of foundation, your sense of practicality, your sense of striving for success. Keyword. So it can play out in many different ways. Those are the bad ways. The good ways it can play out is where right now with this opposition, see, I already said the opposition is the push and pull, it's the fight, it's the tug of war. But the opposition is also the reflection. Whenever something is directly opposing you, that's like a mirror. It's like how I am right now with this fucking phone. So whenever something is opposing you and it creates that mirror effect, you now have a greater ability to understand yourself. Because now you can see yourself from how other people see you, not just how from you see yourself. And what this does is it gives you more power. It gives you a spiritual power, an esoteric power. Because now once you know how the world sees you, instead of just going about it in your own way, you can now take certain actions, do certain expressions, and say certain words to work in your benefit, to work in your favor, because you know how you will be perceived. You get what I'm saying? So that's all the key aspects of the opposition. That's the good aspects of opposition. Because now it creates that mirror effect. It gives you more power, okay? Oppositions create power. Now, when your Venus, or should I say Venus in general, because it's happening for all of us. When Venus is creating that mirror with Saturn, now Venus has a greater opportunity to understand herself, while Saturn has a greater opportunity to understand himself. So what does that do? Well, now that makes your Venus be less immature. Now you're not worried about valuing the wrong things. Now you're not worried about putting so much love into the wrong people. Now you're not worried about being so fucking materialistic. What happens with Saturn? Now your Saturn isn't being so fucking immature. Now your Saturn understand it takes time to build. And to not get so fucking frustrated whenever shit crashes, because that's part of the game too. You see what I'm saying? When your Saturn starts to mature, now they almost start to take on that Libra energy, because that Saturn starts to get exalted and it starts to understand diplomacy and it understands balance. It understands that there's a push and pull to everything, that opposition. It understands there's a light and dark to everything. It understands the polarity. And thus, it doesn't get frustrated when deadlines are met. It doesn't get frustrated when expectations aren't met. It doesn't get, you understand, because it's all part of the process. It's all part of time, because at the end, time will get you there. And time heals all wounds. So if this wound is coming from the fact that you haven't reached it yet, just know that time will heal that. And that's what a matured Saturn understands. So that matured Saturn, that matured Venus gives you the ability to now go after the things that you truly value and not give up on it. So go after the things that you truly desire, to go after the people that you truly love, and not get so fucking frustrated when things don't work out and don't meet expectations. You understand what I'm saying? So don't be afraid of this opposition that's coming up. You know, it's all about how you use it. You know, speaking of oppositions, there's oppositions in everything. Like I said, light and dark, yin and yang. So try to seek the yin during this opposition of Venus in Virgo and Saturn in Pisces. Also, we'll have Lilith in Virgo. And Lilith is an asteroid that is all about basically your shadows. Your Lilith is, for more or less, the way the world sees your shadow aspects, your negative aspects. When someone thinks you're being evil, when someone calls you a demon, they're probably talking about your Lilith. And that gets deeper. But more or less, whether you are being negative or not, because like I said, there's yin and yang in everything. You know, and it's not about what you do, it's how you do it. So whether you're being negative or not, because you might be doing the things that you have to do in order to progress yourself, as well as in order to progress humanity. But if this thing is in Lilith, it could be seen as evil or demonic. That being said, with Lilith in Virgo, you could be seen as demonic right now when it comes to how you deal with imperfections. In other words, you might be someone who is too fucking worried about making everything perfect. Don't be a perfectionist right now, because that's going to give you the ability to attract more negative attention. That's another thing that Lilith can represent, is negative attention. And if you become a perfectionist right now, if you become too worried about making everything work, make everything work, make everything seem flawless, make everything seem like it's not dirty, trying to clean up everything, that's going to attract more dirt towards you right now. That's going to attract more negative. That's going to attract more shadow. That's going to do the exact opposite of what you're trying to do. It's like if you try to be a perfectionist right now, that's going to create more things to break and fuck up. So don't do that. Don't try to be a perfectionist. And it's tricky because Venus is in Virgo while that's happening. So Lilith is conjuncting Venus. So that's going to give us the ability to value making a fool out of ourselves. in one way, shape, or form. And I don't even mean it like literally like you're going out here doing it on purpose, but like you could be doing things that can make you be seen as negative. But these things, you value these things. You know, so even though you could be seen as negative, you value doing these things. So it comes down to, again, really understanding truly what it is that you're intending to do. Not just what you're doing, but the actions, the intentions behind the actions. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, with that Lilith in Virgo and with Venus there, you know, we can have a likeness to value a perfectionist right now. We could fall in love with someone who is not right for us, and we might not know it, and they might not know it. And that's a lot of that's happening because of that opposition happening to Saturn in Pisces. Pisces being the realm of illusion and delusions, and Saturn being reality. Reality has just went into the realm of illusions. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times it could be hard for us with Venus directly opposing that to know who it is we're dealing with right now, if that makes sense. So with with Lilith there too, on top of that, that just adds to the energy to make it more likely for this person that we're falling in love with, or this person that we're valuing, or this thing that we're valuing, this energy in general, could be negative and we don't realize it. But one thing about it is that reality is subjective. So it could play out where it could be something that we value and people think that we're negative for valuing this thing. So because they think we're negative for valuing this thing, they could see us as being in an illusion. But because reality is subjective, this could be exactly what you need to be doing to progress yourself forward. And that goes back to what I said earlier. Don't be afraid to make mistakes right now. Don't be afraid to be seen as someone who's making mistakes right now, because you might not be making mistakes. You might be doing exactly what you need to do to learn, going back to that square, to learn everything it takes to reach that sense of status. Again, going back to that Pluto and Capricorn. You understand what I'm saying? So, because reality is subjective, this thing that you value that might be seen as negative, go deeper into that and look at it from your perspective and other people's perspective. Try again, take in that Libra energy and try to be diplomatic and look at it from all parties, so you can create a more balanced approach in this thing that you're doing that you value that could be seen as negative. This making sense?
Making sense. I've been thinking about it a lot in my whole life. Like, oh my God, wow, I see it.
Shit hitting?
Yeah.
All right. But another thing with that Lilith in Virgo right now, as well as Lilith conjuncting Venus in Virgo, you could be somewhat of a prude right now. You could be someone who is very conservative, probably even more than you already are. Or you could be someone who values conservatism. You could fall in love with someone else who's conservative. You probably aren't conservative, but you see someone else is, and you probably value those traits a little more right now. But no, I said prude. So it could be extreme conservatism, where it could be you're blocking yourself off from opportunities and you're blocking yourself off from experiences because you're trying so much to be a perfectionist that you don't want to pick the wrong path, or you don't want to pick the wrong action. And this wrong action might have been the exact action it took that you needed to have some fun in your life right now, or to find that partner, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just don't be a perfectionist. Just let things build. That's another thing with Pluto in Capricorn squaring the sun, moon, and Mercury right now. We have to learn to let things build. Learn to just let energies build. You don't have to be such a fucking control freak and try and be on top of the game and try and be all ahead. Just chill the fuck out. All right, just let shit build. You feel me? Because a lot of times when you relinquish so much of that energy that you're trying to hold on to, so much of that power and control, when you relinquish that, give it to the universe, just let the world deal with it, that's going to give you more ability to tap into your actual power, to focus on what you can change, focus on what you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that saying, like, what's that saying? It's like, allow me to have the wisdom to know what I can change, and allow me to have the happiness to deal with what I can't, or something like that. It's something like that, but that's basically the energy.
It's my favorite saying.
You know what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah.
It's my favorite saying.
It makes sense because you're a Capricorn. But that's all I'm trying to say with this Pluto in Capricorn right now, squaring squaring the sun. That can help us with these Venus oppositions in this Lilith alignment. Just let shit build. Don't be a perfectionist. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the solar eclipse. I'll do the lunar eclipse next week. And
I could add a little bit. Just geographically,
yeah.
It's gonna happen like South America, Central America, and our Americas. So we're not gonna really be able to see it too much. But I think like states like New Mexico, Texas, Las Vegas, anywhere close to there, they're gonna have a good view of it. And I think it starts like 9 o'clock. I think that's what the time it should be at.
It's pretty early.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so that's that.
And
Got some more.
probably be the last one you'd be able to see if anybody's even in those areas, because the next one's not till I think it said 2039 or something like that for the solar eclipse, and it's going to be in Alaska. Like you're only going to be able to see it if you're in Alaska. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel like that just adds even more to the energies. Like,
next one, it's not going to even be able to see.
yeah, it's not even gonna be visible.
It's going to be like the silent energy.
That is if it's a solar eclipse in Libra.
Oh yeah, it might just be a regular eclipse.
That being said, though, that just adds to the energy that, this solar eclipse, that's another thing too that I didn't say, because it's all happening around Venus energy, and more specifically, this one being Libra. This is going to be a new era of relationships. This is going to be a new era of relating. Like this eclipse is marking that for you, for all of us. And that can come out in so many different ways. It could be a new era in relationships where you have a completely new friend group. Or it could be a new era of relationships where you have the same friend group, but now y'all all just elevated a different stage in y'all relationship, if that makes sense. Shit, you might have an actual close, intimate relationship, and you might get married, during this solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, or whatever the case, but this is a new era of relationships, so keep that in mind. And that just adds to the fact of having to see things from other people's perspective, having to use empathy. But yeah, that's that. I'll explain how it'll affect every single individual on a personal level. You have to know where Libra is as well as where Virgo is in your birth chart. So stay tuned for that.